Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel Rewind That. It's your girl Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Alright guys, today we are going to be talking about Atlanta Season 4, Episode 5, and this episode is called Work Ethic. So let's get into it, guys. In this episode, we finally see Van, and she's going on a trip with Lottie to Kirkwood Chocolates, a studio for the culture and by the culture. So anyway, we soon find out that they're there for some kind of filming, right? And while they're in the waiting area, there's a dude on the phone who is mad loud and ghetto, and there are other children in the waiting room also. So anyway, the guy who's being ghetto, he puts the person that he's talking to on hold so that he can apologize to Van. And she says, it's okay. But then the guy wants to continue and he asks Van her name, and she lies and says Denise. Unfortunately, an employee named Mikey comes out and says, Vanessa, they're ready for you. And her lie was blown up, okay? Just like that. Anyway, so Van is now in the dressing room and it's her first time on set. And she tells the hair and makeup artist that she just wanted to do this to make extra money. And since she doesn't really care about it, she figured she would just have fun with it, right? Plus, it didn't hurt that she caught the eye of a handsome man named Samik. Now, that's just me throwing that part in there, okay? Next, we get on set, and in the middle of a scene, Lottie says, shut up, to the acting husband. And I guess Lottie doesn't understand that it's acting. She just wanted to defend her mommy, okay? But Mr. Chocolate, who was already talking over the intercom, wanted to see Lottie, and he asked her why she told the mean man to shut up. And Lottie says because he was being mean. So now Mr. Chocolate, who everyone seems to be afraid of, wants Lottie in the scenes. So Lottie is in the scene now, guys, and she's on the stairs, and Mr. Chocolate wants her to say shut up again. And, I also have to mention that Van wasn't totally on board with this, but Lottie, with her adorable self, let her mother know that she'll be okay. So they shoot the scene, and now Mr. Chocolate wants Lottie to be in the next scene because they didn't have a kid in the previous scenes. So now they got to fix that, right? So Lottie has to go get fitted. Not to mention, she still had a visitor's pass on while she shot the first daggone scene, guys. And that's just not paying attention to detail on the crew member's part, right? Or Mr. Chocolate. Since you see everything, how come you didn't see that this little girl still had on a freaking visitor's pass? Anyway, while they're in the dressing room, Van tells Lottie that if she's ever uncomfortable, to just give her a thumbs down and they will leave. So Lottie gets back on set and she kills the next scene, guys. But Van was in the back calling Lottie and giving her the thumbs down signal. But Lottie was like, nope, thumbs up. And the crew was loving Lottie too, okay? So now Lottie has to move on to the next scene, and she was taken there without anyone talking to Van first. So now Van wants to speak to someone in charge, and that person is Mr. Chocolate. But hear this, Mikey says that she's never seen him before, but she knows he is always watching her. Anyway, Mikey tells Van that Lottie has about 14 more scenes to shoot, and she's been moved to number 3 on the call list. So now Van wants someone to take her to the next set where Lottie is. And Samik shows up right on time, and he walks Van over there. And of course, he got to try to get his little Mac on as they make their way there, right? Anyway, so Van gets there, and it's a set that is set in the 1800s or something like that. But Lottie is nowhere to be found. Like, she's not there, right? So Van says to one of the crew members that what they're doing is unacceptable. Like, you don't just take someone's child without saying anything. But the crew member was like, ma'am, I'm sorry, but Mr. Chocolate is the only one who knows what's going on, and I just do what he says. But Van was not trying to hear this, okay, guys? She tells the woman to take her to her child now. So when Van gets to the next set, Lottie is shooting a scene with the woman who plays her mama, and she's eating a crack sandwich. And after the scene is done, Mr. Chocolate says over the intercom, amazing. And it really wasn't amazing, okay, guys? I mean, Lottie did good, but not the mama. So once again, Lottie is taken somewhere else just like that. And at this point, I was like, wait a minute. I thought they were just adding Lottie to be in a few scenes from the first set she was on, right? But comes to find out, they got Lottie all over the place and in different shows and movies. Like, it's crazy. So now Van is like, what the heck is going on here? Is this a cult? So she looks at the intercom and she says, give me my daughter back. And Mr. Chocolate says, no. So Van was like, oh, heck no. So she heads out to the building where she knew Mr. Chocolate would be. The building that no one enters or comes out of. So she couldn't get past the guard, but the Christian woman that spoke to Van in the dressing room earlier shot one of the guards in the foot. And that's how Van was able to get in, because the guard, who remained unharmed, was like, please don't shoot. These are fake M16s, okay? Anyway, so Van goes into the building and it's just dark, weird, and creepy, okay? Like very Saw meets the Twilight Zone, all right? But she finally makes it to a one-man studio where she sees a man playing the piano, but it made typing sounds. So he finally stops and greets Van, and he doesn't seem scary at all. But he eventually shows Van that he's unstable when he yells in her face. So Van throws grits in his face, right? He screams, but then says, I'm fine. It was pretty funny to me, guys, okay? And we can see that Mr. Chocolate is being played by Donald Glover. So anyway, guys, Van tells Mr. Chocolate that he's a fraud who makes unrelatable stuff that takes advantage of the people he claims he's trying to help. But before Mr. Chocolate could respond, Mikey comes in with Lottie. And Mikey asks Van if she could sign something, and Van says absolutely not. So after Mr. Chocolate tells Van that he's been watching her all day, he pretty much makes up a storyline from all the encounters that she's had throughout the day. Then he tells Van that he wants to offer Lottie a kids show, 6 seasons. But Van says, no way, I'm not gonna be like one of those mothers who's gonna make their daughters do something they don't want to do. But then Lottie says, I want to do it. And Van was definitely frustrated, okay, and still told Lottie no. And Lottie starts throwing a freaking tantrum while Mr. Chocolate yells behind them that he shall have Lottie. And by the time I'm done with her, she will be spurned woman number 8. But none of that mattered because Van took Lottie the heck up out of there, okay, guys? So then Tyler Perry, Mr. Chocolate, says to Mikey, I've lost a lot of blood. Could you please call the ambulance? Just totally freaking dramatic because he got burned. I didn't see any blood any freaking where, okay? Next, Lottie and Van get home and she apologizes to Lottie about how the day ended. She tells Lottie that she knows she had fun, but she's too young to get into a situation like that where she doesn't understand what she represents, right? Then she tells Lottie that she can't always protect her, but she loves her and will always be there for her. And Lottie walks away. Then Van takes the card that Samiq gave her out of her pocket, and on the back of it, it reads, let's have sex in the boiler room. So we know that he's trash, okay? He cute and all, but trash. And now it's time for Van to make mac and cheese. And that's how the episode ended, guys, okay? Like, this is definitely what I heard a lot of people referring to as the Tyler Perry episode. And, it's really funny, but at the same time, it's kind of sad because why the heck does Tyler Perry feel the need to be the only one in his writer's room? Like, he has bragged about this before. All right, guys, like, if we go back to what one of the workers said, like, only Mr. Chocolate knows what's going on. Like, who the heck wants to work in an environment like that where only, like, the owner knows what's going on? It's just ridiculous. And that's why a lot of his stuff now is trash, because he doesn't let anyone else in, okay? But look, I don't know what they were trying to say about him having eyes everywhere and him referring to himself as God. Maybe it was all about saying that he's a controlling person, which I can believe, especially if he doesn't let anyone into his writing room, like I already said, right? And that's why he has 10 million shows and he can't keep up with the storylines, and now they're a hot freaking mess. All right? But that's what selfishness gets you, right? Plot holes, a bunch of cheesy lines, and a whole lot of freaking nonsense, okay? But I'm going to digress for now, all right? But I will say that I used to admire people like Oprah and Tyler Perry, but not so much anymore. Anyway, guys, let's move on to the next episode, which is episode number 6, and that's called Crank That Killer. In this episode, Ern asks Darius and Al if they heard about the Crank That Killer, and Darius tells him that he's heard about it, and he elaborates that Crank That Killer is a serial killer linked to most of the murders committed in the past year and a half. He tells them that all the victims are people who made Crank That dance videos back in the day. And of course, this is crazy, okay, guys? But the fellas are thankful that they don't have anything to worry about because they've never made a Crank That dance video. But then Al remembers that he actually did a freaking Crank That dance video out of boredom during his trapping days. So when he shows Darius and Ern, Darius says, well, the good news is you only have 25 views. But Al, who never seems to take anything that sounds like BS seriously, he says, man, I ain't worried about no daggone Crank That Killer. Then he tells Ern to see if he can get the video scrubbed off the internet because he don't need no other people knowing where the heck he's at, right? But Ern just stares at the computer screen and says, this is bad, real bad, Michael Jackson. Okay, I just added that part. But anyway, so throughout this episode, we also see Ern trying to get a hold of some Nike Miracles, but he has no luck because they're sold out everywhere. So Darius takes Ern to a guy they call Shoeman who sells sneakers out of a van, and they meet him in the mall parking lot. The word on the street is that he's legit and he should definitely have the Nike Miracles. Only problem is, he's a perv, okay? And he wants Darius and Ern to kiss each other for the sneakers because he does have 2 pairs left. So Ern is not here for this, but Darius, he didn't think it was a big deal. And let me be clear, guys. Let me not forget to mention that the shoe man wasn't going to charge them anything like that. All he wanted to do was see them kiss. That was the price that they had to pay. So now Ern is really against this, but because of Darius, he's like, okay, I'll think about it or whatever, right? And at this point, I'm like, please just stick to your guns, okay? Now, anyway, we get to Al, who is scrolling through his phone, and he sees that another victim has fallen to the Crank That Killer. So he calls Soulja Boy to see what he's saying about all this. He asks him if he ever heard anything about the Crank That Killer, and Soulja Boy was like, are you serious, man? Of course. Then we get to see Soulja Boy on the other end of the phone, and he got his movers packing his things up, honey, okay? Then he tells Al that he's lucky he ain't got no Crank That content on the internet. But when Al tells him that he actually does, Soulja Boy tells Al that he needs to leave town like he's doing. He says, if I was you, I'd be on my way to my safe farm right now. And of course, Al does not know what the heck he's talking about. And Soulja says, if you don't got a safe farm, you good as dead. You know, like a good nigga, State Farm is there. He didn't sing it, but he just said it, right? But anyway, let's move on, guys. It was definitely cool seeing Soulja Boy, even though, like, I'm not a fan or anything, but, you know, it was cool. And he ends the call by telling Al that he's not safe. So after Soulja Boy hangs up on him, Al hears some noises coming from upstairs, so he leaves the house. Next, Ern and Darius are discussing the whole kiss for shoes dilemma, and Darius says that these shoes are worth $10,000 online. So Ern tells him, pay for them then, online. But Darius says, I'm not going to pay $10,000 when I can get them for $200. It's the principle. And Ern says, exactly, it's the principle. Ern basically starts to explain that they already put too much value in shoes and they should maintain some dignity. He then tells Darius that he'll kiss him if he wants, for the shoes, of course, but he thinks they're above this. But that whole deep speech meant nothing because Darius still wanted to go ahead with the freaking thing, okay? Meanwhile, right across the parking lot is Al, who is wearing a dad hat and some shades to disguise himself. But that did not work, and he is noticed by an employee when he orders a pretzel. This chick also winds up texting her friend to let her know Paperboy is there, and she's another employee, right? And she tells another employee who has dreams to be a rap star. So now he wants to go find Paperboy so he can rap for him. But things definitely do not go as planned because Paperboy is spotted by a man who gets out of his car and screams, Paperboy! So this sends Al running back into the mall. Eventually, the dude starts busting shots at Al because he was following him the whole time, and I guess he got tired of it, right? He's like, we about to end this, and I'm about to follow you all over the freaking place. But I definitely gotta say that the dude following Paperboy looked really crazy, all right? His whole getup, his hair, everything. Anyway, while crazy dude is shooting at Paperboy, of course Paperboy is running, and now he's found a little hiding spot. And all of a sudden, he sees the mall turn into the daggone Wild Wild West because he sees a lady shooting at the crazy dude and two other guys who join them. And this lady looked like she parked her stroller to start shooting, okay? Anyway, Paperboy is like, what the heck is going on? Like, you got crazy dude picking up a child and busting back at the other civilians with guns. And it was just nuts, all right? Then to top it off, as Paperboy makes a run for the exit, the Latino kid comes out of nowhere, just spitting his little corny bars. And Paperboy was like, get the heck out of my face. And he mushes him. And the kid falls through a store window. It was just hilarious, okay, guys? Then we get back outside where Darius and Ern still haven't kissed. So they negotiate the kiss for 3 seconds when the dude originally wanted them to tongue each other down for 2 minutes. So as they go in for the kiss, the shoe man turns up the radio, which is playing All My Life by Casey and JoJo. And I was too freaking through. But anyway, they finally kissed, much to my disappointment. And while that's going on, Paperboy comes running out the mall with Crazy Man still busting shots at him. And I was like, okay, number one, why didn't any of the 3 people shooting at him actually shoot him? And number 2, how much bullets is in that freaking gun of his? So anyway, the crazy thing is, while Darius and Ern are kissing, a stray bullet hits and kills the shoe man. And I was like, wow, definitely wasn't expecting that. And now we see that Darius and Ern kissed for no freaking reason. So we get back to Paperboy and Crazy Dude is still shooting at him. And I guess it was like the mall security who came out and started shooting at the Crazy Dude. And this was enough to create a distraction because Dub pulls up and tells Al to get in the car. So he definitely saved Al's life and he tells Dub that he owes him one. And we already saw from earlier in the episode that Al destroyed some studio equipment just to avoid working with Dub. So when Dub tells Al that he was actually on his way to the studio, Al knew what was coming. And Dub was so excited to be on the track with Paperboy. Part of me was a little suspicious of Dub though, guys, because he definitely showed up at the right time. And when Al asked him what he was doing there, he said it was just fate. And I'm like, no, that's not an answer, Ninja. What were you doing there? Okay. But anyway, when the guys meet up later, Al tells them that he's thinking about buying a farm. Then Darius tells him that they found the Crank That Killer. And he gives his phone to Al so that he can see. And guys, I was definitely ready to see a pic of the crazy dude that was chasing Al at the mall. And I know y'all had to be too, okay? But instead, we see a picture of a middle-aged man who was a bit on the thick side, as Darius pointed out. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me, right? So it turns out that the crazy dude who was shooting at Al was someone he had beef with in high school. And when I think about it, somebody had to tell that dude that Paperboy was at the mall. Clearly, those texts between the mall employees reached outside the mall, okay? Plus, this dude was using a GPS to get to the mall. And when he got out of the car, he didn't seem surprised to see Al, okay? He said his name like he expected to see him there and was ready to take care of business. And maybe that's how Dub found out Paperboy was at the mall too, you know? But anyway, guys, that's how episode 6 ended. And it was a pretty wild ride, but I enjoyed it. I'm going to go on ahead and jump into episode number 7. But let me warn you guys that I'm not going to be getting all deep into this episode. I'm just going to sum it up real quick and end this video. So, episode number 7 is called Snipe Hunt. And in this episode, Ern rents out an entire campground for Lottie's birthday, and on the premises is just Ern, Van, and Lottie. So even though they're supposed to be there to celebrate Lottie's birthday, Ern wants to talk to Van about moving to LA. But before we get into all that, guys, I want to mention that Lottie doesn't seem happy on this trip at all. And when she's asked if she's enjoying her birthday, she says, I don't like my birthday. I also want to mention that if you got money to rent out a whole campground, then you got money to take your family to a luxury resort instead of roughing it, okay? But that's just me, guys, right? Because some people do love camping. Anyway, after they have family bonding, like walking through the woods and canoeing and fishing, Earn is finally able to talk to Van about the move to LA. So Van's biggest concern is that Earn just wants them to move with him to LA because he doesn't want to be alone there. And she's not trying to be his security blanket. So before Earn could answer, Lottie tells them that she caught the snipe. Now, this is a surprise to Van because the creature is on the verge of extinction, and it almost sounded mythical to me when she was explaining it, right? But Lottie caught one, guys, red eyes and all. Anyway, after this, they wish Lottie a happy birthday, and she doesn't want them to sing the song, all right? Instead, she just blows out the candle and puts her head down, which was pretty sad. So later that night, while Lottie is sleeping, Earn finally bears his soul to Van. He tells her that it would definitely bother him to move to LA only to see her and Lottie twice a year. He also tells her that he doesn't have to be alone if he doesn't want to, but he wants to be a family with Van and Lottie. So Van says, I know you love Lottie and I know you'll miss her. And that's when Earn says, I'm fighting for you, Van. And you know me, I don't fight for anything. And I was like, go ahead, Earn, let it out, boo, because Van needs to hear it, you know? You got to make yourself clear. So he goes on to tell Van that he loves her. But Van says, it's not enough that you love me as Lottie's mom. So Earn has to get up and make himself clearer, okay? He tells Van that he's in love with her, and he thinks about her a lot. He even dreams about her every night since they came back from Amsterdam. And he says this with tears in his eyes, okay, guys? He goes on to tell Van that he still wants her and desires her. And when he thinks about her being the mother of his child, he could just burst. So Van tells him that she knows what he means, and she finally comes around and agrees to move to LA. Then she opens the covers so he can lay down next to her, and she says, I love you too. Then the family heads home the next day because it starts to rain, and during the ride home, we see Lottie in the back seat finally smiling, guys. And it just showed me that seeing her parents laughing and getting along is what she really wanted the most. All right, guys, that's it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this final installment, which completes my season 4 of Atlanta. All right, this is for the playlist. All right, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Until next time, you guys take care and be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.